Chapter 15. I don't know what's come over me. I'm not the sort of person who snogs girls in cars. As I restart the engine, I grip the steering wheel tightly. I've always prided myself on my discipline and self-control, on the fact that I've managed to keep my vow for so long. Now I'm starting to wonder if it was merely a lack of opportunity to break it. Taking the road towards my parents' home, I'm in autopilot and my mind is all over the place. I'm acutely aware of Jen, and every time she moves I get a fresh hit of her perfume. I keep glancing sideways at her, and it's hard to drag my eyes away from roving all over her body. I clench my jaw tightly and stare at the traffic with grim determination. I didn't think it would be this busy, Jen says, leaning forwards to put the radio on. Now I can smell her shampoo, apples, and I nearly forget to take the right exit. Once we leave the busiest roads, the sun is setting and giving a golden glow to the cold, barren fields. My parents live just over an hour's drive away, near the coast. It's not a place with sandy beaches, it's more cliffs and estuary, but the rugged beauty makes me feel at home. The ground is covered with heather and gorse. Like Wuthering Heights out here. I smile at Jen, knowing it's her favourite novel. When was the last time you visited? She asks. Too long ago. We're starting my new job and then going away with Jen in half term. I haven't been here since the summer. August probably, I reply. She looks at me with one eyebrow raised. So, are you going to tell me anything about your parents? I would like to be a little more prepared. I tighten my hands on the steering wheel and feel my neck tense up. Their names are Ezra and Heather, I begin. Ezra's an unusual name, Jen comments. I suppose, I shrug. My grandfather was very religious. He wanted all of our names to come from the Bible. Jen blinks, another thing that she probably finds weird. Do they go to church every week? I give a dry laugh. Yes, sometimes more. My father's a warden. What's that? He helps with different things, I say vaguely. I don't really know. Is he still working too? She asks. Yes, I can't see him giving up work anytime soon. I don't think I've ever seen my dad sit down in one place for longer than 30 minutes, except for the classical concerts he used to take me to. I picture the piano and feel the ache of not playing for so long. He's very musical, I tell Jen. He's an amazing pianist. He taught me. You play piano? She sits up straighter to look at me. You never said. It's not something that I really think about when I'm at school. What about your sister? Does she play too? Rachel plays a bit, but her main instrument is the clarinet. She used to play in all these different orchestras, go on tour around Europe, that sort of thing. Right, Jen says slowly. You all sound scarily talented. It's not a big deal, I say. It was just, music was always part of our lives. Jen sighs. I double take to check her expression. What's wrong? It's nothing, she says, putting her elbow against the window and gazing out at the scenery. No, it's not, I push back. Tell me. She rolls her eyes and then looks back at me. For most of us, music being part of our lives means listening to the radio on the weekend, not playing Mozart all over Europe. We listen to the radio too. What, Classic FM? She jokes. Well, yes. I can't erase the music of my childhood and turn it into the Spice Girls just to make Jen feel better. What's that castle over there? She's looking across to some stone ruins on the cliff top. Bestwood, I answer. We can go there tomorrow if you like. Yes, please. She flashes me a bright smile. I bet the views are amazing up there. The view is amazing wherever you are, I say. She rolls her eyes and laughs, but looks pleased at the compliment. We enter the town area and drive through the residential streets. Wow, it's swanky around here, Jen comments. I don't suppose I've ever stopped to notice, really. It's normal for me. But comparing it to Widlock, the homes are more at market, the gardens are well tended, and everything feels greener and cleaner somehow. When we pull up outside my parents' house, I'm aware of their large detached property, the cars on the driveway. Jen looks slightly in awe. I unclick my seatbelt, ready to open the car door, but Jen's still staring at the house. What are your parents' names again? She asks. Ezra and Heather. Right. We get out of the car and I take her hand and squeeze it. Don't worry, I'm sure they'll love you. The front door opens and my parents move forward to welcome us. Dad is his usual wiry self, wearing his round glasses and a long-sleeved shirt, while Mum's hair is a silver-white colour, long over her shoulders. Dad gives me a tight hug and then shakes Jen's hand. Mum puts her arms around me and kisses my cheek, then grasps Jen's hand with a broad smile. "Come in," Mum beckons. "I hope the traffic wasn't too bad." We sit in the lounge, Jen perching at the edge of the sofa. Mum makes some tea while Dad clears his throat and smiles politely at Jen, pushing his glasses up his nose. "Have you been working at Whitlock County for long?" he asks. It's a mild-mannered question, but the subtext is clear. He thinks she's only recently qualified. 5 years, Jen nods in response. Jen's just been appointed as the Additional Learning Needs Coordinator. I give her an encouraging smile. "Oh, right," Dad says. He clearly has no idea what that means. "Do you live close to the school?" he asks next. I guess it's hard to switch lawyer mode off. I stifle a laugh. Jen used to live in a flat a stone's throw away from the school's entrance, but now she's back at her dad's. She's a little further. "Fairly," she says. "I live with my dad, so it's only about 10 minutes' drive." "I see," Dad says, clearly thinking this through. "So have you always lived in that area then?" "Yes, I went to Whitlock myself as a student." Thankfully, Mum walks in at this point and smiles warmly. "That's lovely," she says. "You must know it really well." She gives Jen a cup of tea. Literally, it's a bone china cup with a saucer. It shakes and wobbles as Jen holds the saucer. Why is my mother reenacting a Jane Austen tea party? No one uses cups and saucers anymore. Mum next enters with a tray with a full-blown tea set, teapot, sugar pot, milk jug. She deliberately avoids my stare. I've literally never seen her use this before. "Would you like sugar?" she asks eagerly, holding the tray out to Jen. "I'm fine, thank you." Jen shakes her head. Mum looks disappointed and slides the tray onto the coffee table. The room is awkwardly quiet as Jen drinks tea and chinks the cup back onto the saucer again. When Mum produces cups and saucers for all of us, the sound is echoed fourfold. "Where did you study for your degree?" Dad asks Jen. I'm beginning to feel awkward at how many questions he's asking. It's like a socially acceptable form of interrogation. Jen told me the first time I met her, I fired about 20 questions at her in one go. Now I'm starting to see where I picked up the habit. "Just the local university," she says. I know this is a sore point because she had to look after her dad and sister, so I hurriedly switched topic. "We visited a local primary recently for a Shakespeare project that Jen runs." "That sounds like fun," Mum says enthusiastically. "Which play is it?" "Julius Caesar," Jen answers. She nods towards the wall of bookshelves. "I can see you have quite a library here." "Buying books is my weakness," Mum confesses. "Are those first edition penguins?" Jen asks. "I just try to pick them up on special occasions," Mum blushes. "The last one I got was Jane Eyre on Rachel's graduation." "I love the Brontes." Jen's eyes light up. "I was saying in the car how much the landscape looks like Wuthering Heights round here," I say. "I thought I could take Jen to Bestwood tomorrow." "Oh, right," Dad says, adjusting his glasses again. "Around what time?" Dad is a bit uptight about scheduling the whole weekend, and I know that's rich coming from me. "Probably around 11, I wave a hand vaguely. "No need to rush," Mum says, with a look at Dad. "We usually have lunch at 1 o'clock. Dad's lips pressed together in a thin line. "We'll be back by then," I reassure him, inwardly annoyed at his tone. Dad always eats at the same time every day on the dot, and I'm partly annoyed because I'm exactly the same. There's me trying to convince Jen that we're just a normal family. Seeing the way that she is with her dad and Katie has shown me how different other families are. I get the impression they just came and went as they pleased when they were teenagers. "I think dinner's nearly ready," Mum says, breaking the tension. Jen springs to her feet. "May I use the bathroom, please?" "Of course." Mum ushers her into the hallway. "How's work going?" Dad asks. "Settling into your new role?" "Yes, I think so." I briefly remember the disastrous dinner at David's house, but Dad doesn't need to know about that. "Are they okay with you and Jen being together?" I avoid his penetrating gaze. "I'm not sure." Dad picks up on my unease straight away. "You've got to be careful, Michael," he says. Keep David and the governors on side. You don't know what's going to happen to Whitlock. I have a pretty good idea, but it isn't pretty at all. Merging Whitlock with Pressfield will create a melting pot of kids from a challenging catchment area, a staff crisis with redundancies and redeployments, and huge workload with fewer people to shoulder it. I'm keeping our relationship separate from work, I tell him. That's easy to say, Dad scoffs. Somewhat more difficult in practice, though. I hope you're telling Michael how glad we are that he's met someone, Mum says, walking back into the room with a pointed look at Dad. Careers aren't everything, you know. Of course, Dad agrees quickly, but his expression says otherwise. I think Dad's biggest disappointment in life was that I didn't become a lawyer. He would never admit that, but he's made so many barbed comments about the poor salary in teaching. It's really not that bad, and that it's not too late to change career path. It's obvious what he really thinks. Maybe he imagined becoming partners in the same firm together like some sort of father-son act. My throat constricts, the mere thought of it stifling my breath. One thing's for sure, I don't visit my parents to enjoy a relaxing weekend. Jen's presence makes it bearable, but I'm starting to wonder what I've brought her into. So far, she's been interrogated, given tea in an antique heirloom set from the 19th century, and I'm already on edge. And it's only been half an hour.